The next series of throws I want to go over are body locks and variations from the body locks. This is more of a traditional Greco-Roman type of a throw. Probably not the most applicable in mixed martial arts. On the other hand, I think it's an important type of technique to understand because there will be times where this type of throwing situation will probably present itself. Before you can get into the notion of exactly how to do the throw, though, the preparation in terms of your initial grip around your opponent's body is crucial. What I mean by that is, typically we can say that the root of this is going to come from a pummeling situation. And I'm going to reach down here. Now, I want you to notice the arm that I trap also involves the same side leg coming in and bisecting Colby's two legs. So I'm ultimately going to grab around his body by putting my arm here fairly low, not high, more around the waist. You're going to notice that the same side arm that I trap of Colby's is going to involve the same side leg, or mirrored leg actually. It's going to bisect his two legs. It's not going to be in front a lot. It's not going to be real deep through. It's basically going to be pretty much in between his 2 feet here. Now, an important thing I think is crucial to understand when we're doing this. First, I don't want to step in totally upright. You'll notice my level here. What I want to do, and one of the things, from here, it's harder for me to begin to pick Colby up. If I stand straight with him, I don't have much room to be able to pick him up. However, if I come in low, now when I stand up, I have him up a little higher. His hips are up a little bit higher relative to my hips. So that's a crucial thing to understand as we're trying to prepare our grip for this. I don't want to grab Colby really high and upright. I might be able to do the throw from this position, but it does make it a little bit more difficult, and it's more mechanically sound to grab a little lower here. You'll notice my level. I'm not on my knees, but neither am I totally upright to here. You'll also notice that there's a tremendous amount of contact here. You'll also notice, too, I'm not coming in and trying to squish down. I'm not arching back as I come through. I want to keep my back pretty much straight up and down to here. I'm in tight. My head is in tight this way here. You'll notice, basically want to grab a gable-type grip in this position here. I'm not up too high. Pretty much right around the waist here, lower part of the ribs. Okay, now, next step is going to be to load the weight up on the opposite leg of the arm that I have trapped. So once I step up in here, what I'm going to do with my opposite leg that's behind is I'm going to step around in this direction here. As I do that, I want to keep and load the weight on this leg. Remember, I've trapped Colby's right arm here. I'm going to be circling in this direction now and loading the weight up on his left leg. I want him not to be neutral. I want him to be stacked up on this leg. I'm also going to be torquing him as I'm rotating around that leg. So I'm going to step, and I'm going to come around. Notice where my feet are. Notice my knees are pinching Colby's knee here. And what I'm going to do from this position is I'm going to continue, step, grab. I'm going to continue to come around, and I'm going to lift him up on my hips, and I'm going to pop. I want to look back. I'm going to pop him with my hips, but I'm not just going straight back. If I was going straight back and popping him with my hips, I'd try to throw him straight over me. Mechanically, that's fairly difficult. Some good Greco-Roman wrestlers can do that, though, okay? But what makes this a little bit more efficient is because I'm rotating my body and I pop, the torque on my body and Colby's body is going to send him more over slightly to the side. Even though I'm popping straight up, because our bodies are rotating, that momentum is going to continue through to the mat, and that's going to make my throw more successful. Notice, as I'm pummeling back and forth, when I do attack, this comes through at the same time this makes the step. It's not grab and step. It's same time. Same time. Not grab, step, not step, grab. Lower the level, step, grab, same time. One thing you're always striving for is the line of attack. For example, right now as I'm facing the camera, you'll notice I step through, circle, arch, and pop. I want Kobe's feet to go in that direction that I'm looking at initially. In other words, I don't want his feet out here. I want his feet way out here. I basically want him in a line with my attack. If I come here, pop, I want his feet ultimately in that way in front of me. It's crucial as well that as I'm coming through, I'm popping, but I continue that rotation or that torque along the axis of my spine. And this is important here. I'm not trying to grab Kobe and like float him over my hips. I'm trying to give him a pop. And that's really crucial. And a mistake I think a lot of people make when they're doing throws like this is they grab their opponent as if they're going to float them over their body and try to have momentum simply take them over. You want to help with a good pop with your hips or your lower abdomen. Boom. So you're going to get that momentum going properly. Not just try to give a shove where you're floating his hips and his lower abdomen, but to pop it. So that's really crucial. And you can practice that actually simply by coming here and just practicing coming up and lifting your opponent. Just doing that step, pop, and just getting that notion of getting the hips going is an excellent exercise to prepare before you do actually initiate a throw, or it's a good practice exercise. After you practice getting the grip, step one. Step two is the pop. Then step three is being able to look back towards the mat and actually carry the throw through. So if you kind of conceptualize it in three basic steps or phases, that gives you different aspects of that technique to work on individually. Okay, next, if I have my underhook, and of course when I have my underhook, I want my head in the deltoid, then slide it up into good position here with my elbow in tight, preferably grabbing his hands or controlling something. I'd rather control his hand if I can than his wrist, because if I control his wrist, he can still grab me typically. So from this position, I can also work amongst other things. I mean, I've got my singles from this position. We've got other attacks that we've gone over in prior instructionals, but I also have a body lock from this position too. And what I can do if I'm in this position here, and if I am having trouble grabbing the leg, or we're kind of up pretty high here, what I can do from this position is I can take a step in here, and then I can come around and do that same type of a throw. So it's the same throw, just from a different position. Instead of instead of pummeling, or instead of from over and under, it's from an underhook. Another situation is from the 2-on-1. Now remember, there's a lot of things we can do from the 2-on-1, and we've been going over them in prior instructionals. If Colby was down further in front here, I'm not going to be thinking of a throw. I'm going to be thinking of pulling him down, dragging behind, whatever, but probably not a throw. But if Colby is being more upright, and particularly if he's being more upright and trying to get in front of me, naturally, again, if I've got a good 2-on-1, I want high up on his shoulder, I want to be blocking, I almost want to be behind him here. But if he's loosening my grip up a little bit and he's coming out more in front of me, now I have an opportunity, among some other things, for a body lock. What I want to do from here is I'm going to pin this hard against his body. I've got to get this out, but as I do, I can't let space be created and then try to come back in. From here, I've got to keep the shoulder pinched to come through this way, and at the same time, I'm going to grab around the body, simultaneously stepping with my foot. Then I'm going to come around. Another situation to get to the body lock is a drag. You'll recall in some of the early instructionals, we talked about, for example, coming in a double leg, single leg. I can also come into a body lock. So if I drag here, I can step. So I can drag, step. Again, step and grab at the same time. Drag to clear the arm, step and grab at the same time. Again, keeping my body upright. And the throw is exactly the same, just a different way to get the arm and lock to the body. Now, once you've actually thrown your opponent down with body-light type tosses or throws, once I end up on the mat, I'm going to be in this type of position here, typically. I just want to hip heist. So typically, again, if I was facing this way and I throw Colby over, his feet are going to be in that direction. Typically, I'm going to be a little loose by the time we land. And from here, I just want to hip heist through. Now, when I do that, I want to get up very high on his shoulder here, or his deltoid, and I want to crank this up and out, torquing. I'm not just pulling it this way, I'm kind of torquing. I'm going to hook here, and I want to jam my hip deep into his armpit from here, like this position here. It's crucial that I'm not low towards his hips. I want to be as high up towards his head as I can be. I can keep my hips up, pointed up here. Okay, belly's pointed up, abdomen's pointed up, hips are pointed up. That's one possibility. My preference, though, I think this is much better. One, notice, when I'm here, I have a tendency to be further back, and that's the same deal with this kind of grip here. Notice, though, when I've changed my hips here, notice, too, when I'm here, I want to be off my butt. When I'm here, I'm also off my hips here. But notice, once I've turned my hips, I'm a little further up, higher towards his head, as opposed to here. So my preference is up here. I think I control my opponent a lot better. Notice my chest is over, not just his chest, but of his shoulders, neck, and even his face. This is a very powerful position. He's got no real good defense here, as long as I keep cranking this, keeping the weight on his chest here. It's very easy for me to come to mount, okay, or knee on belly. But I'm in good shape here. I'm in good shape, and I want to keep jamming my body in this armpit. So I don't want to drift down this way and stay on him. I want to come up high. And I want to push my body in his armpit like a ball and socket. From here, I'm jamming, I'm wedging my side, lower part of my ribs, right in there. And I'm going to keep on top of him that way. And I've got really good control in this type of a position. Very good control here. Okay, again, it's not that hard to come and mount, okay? Or to come down belly in this position here. No problem at all. One more time. My preference, while this is okay, I've got to be careful I'm not coming back too far here. Of course, naturally, I never want to get my legs back here where they're going to be grabbed. I never want to get my hips to his hips, otherwise I'm going to get rolled. Which is why my preference is to get out very far in front, covering his head with my body. You'll notice feet are down, legs are off the mat. The rest of my weight is on him, and I'm not just hanging here, I'm cranking this out, and I'm pulling this back here.